Hey, what's up gamers? It's your boy Church of Caboose and welcome back to my channel. This video we're going to be talking about the very last challenge inside the King's Fall raid called Hands Off. This is the challenge for Orynx and we're talking about doing this on the Master difficulty. Just like all the previous videos on all the other encounter challenges, this same strategy works just fine on the normal version, but things like champion needs are not going to be needed, and I would imagine stuff like DPS will work even better, potentially giving you a 1 phase instead of a 2 like we have in this video. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure you click the like button as well as subscribe, and if you happen to miss a challenge from a previous encounter, feel free to check out my channel when that week comes up, because I have guides up for every encounter except for Golgoroth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into this video. Now for this video, I'm going to go ahead and just assume that you already know how to beat Orynx. If you're trying to do the challenge, just like all these other encounters, but you don't know how to beat the encounter, then you should probably worry about beating the encounter and not worry about the challenge quite yet. So if you need to learn how to do the encounter, this is not the video for you. But if you are wanting how to do the challenge, well then keep on watching. Just wanted to give that disclaimer. So the big differences on Master versus normal is there are going to be champions, and of course the boss has more health. There's a 1600 power thing, so you just deal less damage. Alright, so the champions that we have here are going to be overload hobgoblin things. So on each plate there will be a knight that on the normal version that spawns, but instead of it being a knight on Master, it is a overload champion. I found the Monarch to be fantastic for 2 reasons. One, it's intrinsic overload, so you can save yourself a slot on your armor piece. You don't have to use overload bow or whatever, or machine gun. And then 2, lots of the ads have void shields, so it works really well to have on something void such as the Monarch. And then the other reason is it frees up my spot for damage to use something like a linear fusion rifle. Overload can be found on machine guns as well as intrinsically on things like Thunderlord, but we want to use linear fusion rifles for damage, and so having the Monarch works out great because you can still do that. The other reason I like using the Monarch is because then in my kinetic slot I have a crafted Deliverance that has Chill Clip and Demolitionist on it. Chill Clip works really well for managing ads and events you need it, as well as helping you out with the actual challenge, which we will get into shortly. Of course, for some characters, you want to have at least 1 well Warlock, ideally 2 or 3, because to start the encounter, when you have the knight spawn in, it's really nice to be between the pillars the sisters were on to drop a well for dealing with those champions, so you can all do them off the bat. And then the other reason, of course, is during damage, it gives you a nice healthy boost of damage when you're shooting at Orynx, and makes sure that you all stay alive pretty easily. So those are kind of the main reasons you want to have at least 2 wells, if not 3. Of course, it helps to have some Titans with lightning strikes twice doing the Helm of Inmost Light, because there are some arc shields, which is why I was using Storm Chaser in my linear fusion rifle spot instead of a crafted Typhon, which if you follow my channel, that's what I've normally been using since the season started. Alright, and then anything with like Titans and then Hunters, it's whatever, your main damage is going to be coming from using the well and the linear fusion rifles. So now that we've talked about the loadouts and weapon suggestion stuff, how does this actually work? Well, the challenge for Hands Off is to only kill an ogre once, and to only kill the Night Eater once. So you have to kill a different one every time before you can repeat this. Alright, so you have kind of limited damage. I don't even think you can repeat going through. I think you can only kill every ogre once and every Light Eater once, which those are the knights that spawn in after you've started that very first round of bombs. Right, and so I don't think you can repeat it, so I believe you're pretty much limited to only 4 damage phases. But if you're like my team, we easily did it in 2, and we were LFG. I don't think anyone was doing things specifically crazy with mods. We just had a divinity and linear fusion rifles, so that should be easy enough. And then of course with the warlocks, you can throw those extra fusion grenades. Right, and so that's the encounter is for the challenge, is you only kill the same ogre once, You cannot kill the same ogre more than once or the same light eater more than once. So here's how my team and I did it. To start, we started off the encounter. You'll run at Orynx, the blight spawns in, then the Orynx spawns in because the blight teleports away. Orynx shows up, some ads spawn in, and then eventually the overload hobgoblins start to spawn in, and that's when you drop the well in this area between the two pillars the sisters were at. Alright, so once you do that, you kill all of the overloads as quickly as you can and get ready to do the counter how you normally would with Orynx. Only when he slams his fist, instead of having that first person hop onto the plate where his fist just slammed, you then just start killing the ogres. So you kill your own, and then once all the ogres are down, then you go and hunt down your blight eater. So for example, say you're on L1, which just for sake of argument is the left closest to where the flag is at. So the encounter starts, my ogre spawns in, I'm off of the plates, I kill my ogre, and then I go to the opposite side because the knights hunt you down your areas from the opposite. So the ogre or the knight that goes to the left bomb actually spawns in on the right. So I go to the right, kill my light eater, and then I know I cannot kill that light eater again, and I cannot kill the ogre that spawned on L1 again. Once you get all the way through and have done all the 3 brand grabs and everything, and you're going to a second damage phase, instead of rotating like a clock or whatever, just go to the other side. So the person on the whatever plate you have designated as L1 switches with R1, or R1 switches with L1, and then L2 switches with R2. Now, or however it is that you guys have these set up. Some people use hamburger callout, some people use like dog, axe, sun, star, whatever, that stuff. Some people have different fronts and backs. The point is if you have L1 as the closest to the rally flag, then R1 is the closest to the rally flag on the right side. Then the one that's farthest away from the rally flag is L2, and the one that's farthest away from the rally flag on the right side is R2. You just have those 2 people switch plates. So once you get through an entire damage phase, you've hurt Orynx, then you either get through the Shattered Realm thing where he pulls you into his bubble, into the arena, or you avoid the bombs. Once that's all over, you just go to the opposite side of the arena onto the other person's plate, and you just trade, and that works really well. Odds are you're going to only have to do 2 damage phases. That's what we did. But if you had to do a 3rd damage phase, then what I would suggest doing is just flipping what side is on what. So let's go ahead and just resume the L1, L2 example. The people that are on the 1, L1 and R1, would then for the 3rd damage phase just be on the 2s, L2 and R2. So if you're on L1, then you just go to L2. If you're on R1, then you go to R2, assuming you didn't do anything with any of those ogres and knights. That will work just fine, and the people that were on the 2s go to the same side on the 1s. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense, and that the gameplay in this video made a lot of sense. If anything was confusing, feel free to let me know. I want to try to go ahead and just do one full walkthrough of Orynx with the challenge of just briefly of how to actually get this done step by step. Alright, so you get into the room, put down the rally flag. Everyone's got on linear fusion rifles. You have 1 divinity, at least 3 warlocks, or ideally 3, at least 2, and then you've got maybe some titans and whatever doing arc stuff for arc shields. Everyone has the ability to deal with void shields for the ads and arc shields for the light eaters, because those knights have arc shields. As well as everyone has the ability to deal with overload champions. So everyone rallies up to that flag. You have your posts assigned, so you know if you're on L1 or R1 or L2 or R2. You go to your spots, the floaters are ready, and then you go ahead and start the encounter by running at Toland. Toland disappears, Orynx spawns in, ads spawn in, everyone kind of just groups up a little bit in the plates in the area between the pillars where the sisters were at the encounter before. The overloads spawn in, someone drops a well. Then from there, you kill all the overloads, and then once those are all dead, Orynx will pick whatever plate and move to that side. Orynx will slam his fist on whatever the plate is, and nobody hops onto their pillars or their plates to see where they're supposed to go to next. Instead, you just kill your ogre in the order they spawned by yourself. If someone that is in your area wants to help you get them weak, that's fine, just do not kill them unless it is your own ogre. So for example, killing my left L1 ogre is my job. Our R1 guy can help me weaken L1 ogre, but he's not going to kill it, because if he does, well then we'd have to do some shenanigans, and that just gets annoying. Once all the ogres are dead, And then you have to deal with the light eaters. When you kill your ogre, for example, on left 1, you can run over to the plate by R1 because that's where your light eater will spawn. It will have arc shields, so having an arc heavy like I did with Storm Chaser works great to break the shield. Then something with like Deliverance or Chill Clip works fantastically for actually stopping the light eater and killing it. Once you kill it, then you go ahead and do the encounter as normal to get to damage phase by hopping on the plates, giving the call out of where to go to, and the taken guy runs around, grabs the brand, and you do that 3 times. Once you have picked up the brand for the 3rd time, people will go to their bombs, wait for Orynx starting this thing, spawn them in, bombs blow up, everyone's in the middle, the Orynx does his little hand clap thing, well is down, do damage, and then eventually Orynx goes away, and you have to restart the whole cycle once you either are in the Thunderdome, or you have to run away from the bomb spawning in the middle, and then you just start the whole thing over again. For the 2nd round of overloads, you could do the well in the middle between the 2 plates where the sisters were at, but it's not as useful the 2nd time as it was the 1st time. That part, just do whatever your team feels like. So hopefully this was a good, clear and concise walkthrough. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. Hopefully I earned your subscription. I have now done all the challenges for the master version of Kingslayer for the master Kingsfall raid. I am now working, and hopefully this week we'll get the actual title done. I gotta do some of those ridiculous challenges for Golgoroth's sister Orynx, and then do Golgoroth on all arc, and then I'll have the title done. So that's what my next goal is. Hopefully you guys all enjoy the Festival of the Lost, and that you get whatever snipers you're hoping for, and I hopefully will have my quest be unbugged so I can get my loot. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment down below if this was at all helpful, as well as strategies you and your team use that maybe I didn't use that might help other people out. The more we share, the more people will be able to beat this and get this over with. Last little thing, I highly recommend being 1590 or higher, ideally 1595 or higher, just because it's a 1600 master raid. It's just going to be easier to stay alive and do all these things and do damage if that is your power level. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.